welcome you into it. They're always looking to use you. The hard part is, as a youth, hiding it from my mother. That part, that part was harder. Hiding it from my mother, my aunts, uncles. People that probably wouldn't want me to be doing this at a very young age. So that was the hard part. But as far as doing some of the things that I was doing, your parents not watching you every day. So, if you're thinking I'm going outside to play basketball, why would you follow me to the basketball court? So it was things like that. We supposed to be in school, and instead of being in school, I'm hooking in school. So by the time your parent found out that you're hooking in school, weeks could have been passed. And the more you do it, the better you get. So that part of it, like I said, entering the life is never hard. That's probably one of the easiest things in the world to do is to do the wrong thing.
I know I had a very close friend, and one of the ways that she started to pick up on things is he was coming in with sneakers that she didn't buy.
Yeah, that happened. That happens.
He started coming in with
happens.
sneakers and clothes that,
Yeah, that happens. I've done that. I used to hide sneakers, hide jeans, hide shirts. But my mother worked. My mother was a school teacher, full-time school teacher. So she's getting up early in the morning to go to work. Mm-hmm. So at this stage of my life, she's not dressing me. She'll come to the room and say, "Come on, get yourself together. You got to go to school." But my mother will be leaving out before me. So if she's leaving out before me, it's as long as I'm not home. You understand what I'm saying? She would leave out and go to work. I can just grab whatever clothes I wanted to put on while she's gone and go out the door. But instead of going to school, I may go and do something else. But eventually, it all caught up to me because you start off, whatever you start off doing, it always progressive. You always get, you get worse. Nothing stays the same. And you add ego, that always comes into play. You get big-headed and you become more daring. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, you get yourself in situations that you will need your parent to come and get you out of it. We didn't grow up knowing the law, so a lot of times we thought that as long as, if I don't have drugs on me and the police stop me, I can't get locked up because I didn't have it on me. But that's not true. If the drugs are in your vicinity and the police find them, all they got to do is say they got them out your pocket.
Right.
But a lot of us are ignorant to that when it comes to drugs, guns, whatever it is. But the police feel like they're saying they got it off you. They can say they got it off you. You can argue all day, but it doesn't matter. And then what happens is when you end up going to court, a lot of times we didn't know the system. They should have this thing called Section 17. And the only thing they told you about Section 17 is they say, do you want to go home or you want to go to jail? And you'd be like, of course you want to go home. So they say, plead guilty to a Section 17 and you're going to go home. So you plead guilty to Section 17. They tell you it's pleading no contest. They take you to a room. They tell you they're going to let you go. You go to another room, then you find out that you're on probation for 3 years or 5 years. So when you know nothing about probation for the first time, you think, okay, this is nothing. Only thing I have to do is report. But it's a list, it's a guidelines that you have to follow. So if you give up a dirty urine, that 3 years, if you had 3 years sentence, 3 years on probation, turns into 3 years of time, and then you still have to go back to court. See, nobody explained any of this to me at the time. They just told me I was going home. So while on probation, I smoked weed, I drank, I took Valiums. So when I go see these people, I'm giving them a dirty urine. Not understanding that the dirty urine is going to send me back. But again, nobody explains this to you when you're young.
And that's the way the court system is set up. And I just recently heard that they were trying to put in a motion to stop the length of probation exceeding the amount of time, like you just said, right. Possibly the rule that you were just discussing is where, say for instance, someone is arrested and they're looking at 2 to 3 years,
right?
And they take that plea deal, and then they come out and they say, okay, you don't have to do the 2 or 3 years. We'll just give you 5 years of probation. But it's such an astringent
Right.
probation.
It never ends.
That right, it never ends,
Right.
and it creates a revolving door.
That's
with
the
same
situation that the rapper Meek Mills was going through.
inmates.
Same situation that he was going through on probation, and then when they violate, it continues on. So I don't know his situation, but to my knowledge, he's still on probation, and this is like over 10 years now. But it started out from probation. So my section 17, I think it was 3 years probation, and I got down to like 2.5 years, and it violated it. So that turned into a 5-year state sentence.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it turns into a 5-year state sentence. But prior to being on probation, I mean, I ended up getting locked up prior to even being an adult. So I ended up going to juvenile facilities. I was in Glen Mills for a time. Got out of Glen Mills, and I think I was home. I was out of Glen Mills for 3 years.
So when you started writing this book, around about what age were you?
When I started writing it, I was 2020. I probably was about 29.
29. By this